Namaste, Dandavat Pranam. By the instruction and grace of our spiritual master Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, we are here reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're also paying our humble obeisances to Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada for providing us this wonderful commentary and translation of Bhagavatam. And following the guidance and recommendation of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, we are praying to Srimati Radharani. Srila Saraswati Thakur said, unless we can understand Radharani within the 18,000 verses of Bhagavatam, our study has been for waste if we have not done that. So, we're praying to Srimati Radharani. Yadi seva vanchitasya ma yasya kripaya vayam labema sarvam prapnuma prayojanam damni Shri Bhagavat pade Krishna sambandhi sarvam cha yadinha jani mahetutam ashtadashasu sahasreshu shlokanam Bhagavat oktishu Radhara nimna vindamatada Nishphalam Bhagavat adhyayanam Radhikaya kripam vina Vyartasyat sarva parishrama. If we are cheated out of serving that personality whose mercy awards us everything we need, including residence in the Lord's holy Dham, and all things connected to Krishna, and if we cannot understand or discover Radharani within the 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, then our study of Srimad Bhagavatam has been pointless. Without the mercy of Srimati Radharani, all our efforts are in vain. So we are continuing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, the creation of the fourth order. Chapter 26, King Purañjana goes to the forest to hunt, and his queen becomes angry. Text 13. Tripto hrishta sudriptascha kandhara pakrishta manasa navyachasta vararoham grihinim grihamedinam. After taking his dinner, and after having his thirst and hunger satisfied, King Purañjana felt some joy within his heart. Instead of being elevated to a higher consciousness, he became captivated by Cupid, and was moved by a desire to find his wife who kept him satisfied in his household. Purport. This verse is very significant for those desiring to elevate themselves to a higher level of Krishna consciousness. When a person is initiated by a spiritual master, he changes his habits and does not eat undesirable eatables or engage in the eating of meat, the drinking of liquor, the illicit sex, or gambling. Sattvika ahar. Foodstuffs in the mode of goodness are described in the Shastras as wheat, rice, vegetables, fruits, milk, sugar, and milk products. Simple food like rice, dal, chapatis, vegetables, milk, and sugar constitute a balanced diet. But sometimes it is found that an initiated person, in the name of prasad, eats very luxurious foodstuffs. Due to his past sinful life, he becomes attracted by Cupid and eats good food voraciously. It is clearly visible that when a neophyte in Krishna consciousness eats too much, he falls down. Instead of becoming elevated to pure Krishna consciousness, he becomes attracted by Cupid. The so-called brahmachari becomes agitated by women, and the vanaprastha may again become captivated into having sex with his wife, or he may begin to search out another wife. Due to some sentiment, he may give up his own wife and come into association of devotees and a spiritual master, but due to his past sinful life, he cannot stay. Instead of being elevated to Krishna consciousness, he falls down, being attracted by Cupid, and takes to another wife for sex enjoyment. The fall of the neophyte devotee from the path of Krishna consciousness down to material life is described in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.17 by Narada Muni. Tyaktva swadharmam charanam bhujam harer vajan apakvota patet tato yadi yatrakva vabhadram abhud amusyaklim kovartapto bhajatam swadharmata. This indicates that although a neophyte devotee may fall down from the path of Krishna consciousness due to his immaturity, his service to Krishna never goes in vain. However, a person who remains steadfast in his family duty or so-called social or family obligation, but does not take to Krishna consciousness, receives no profit. When one comes to Krishna consciousness, they must be very cautious and refrain from the prohibited activities as defined by Rupa Goswami in his Upadeshamrita. Atyadara prayasascha prajalpo niyam graha jana sangascha lolyam cha sadbir bhaktir vinasyati. A neophyte devotee should neither eat too much nor collect more money than necessary. Eating too much or collecting too much is called atyahar. For such atyahara, one must endeavor very much. This is called prayasa. Superficially, one may show himself to be very much faithful to the rules and regulations, but at the same time be fixed in the regulative principles. This is called niyama graha. By mixing with undesirable persons, or jana sangha, one becomes tainted with lust and greed, and falls down from the path of devotional service. Text 14. Antapura striyo prachad, vimhana eva vedishat, apiva koshalam rama, shesvarinam yatapura. At that time, King Purañjana was a little anxious, and he inquired from the household women, "My dear beautiful women, are you and your mistress all very happy like before or not?" Purport. In this verse, the word Vedisat indicates King Prachinabarhi. When a man becomes refreshed by association with devotees and awakes to Krishna consciousness, he consults the activities of his mind, namely thinking, feeling, and willing, and decides whether he should return to his material activities or stay in spiritual consciousness. The word koshalam refers to that which is auspicious. One can make his home perfectly auspicious when he engages in devotional service to Lord Vishnu. When one is engaged in activities other than Vishnu Bhakti, or in other words, when one is engaged in material activities, he is always filled with anxieties. A sane man should consult his mind, its thinking, feeling, and willing processes, and decide how to process and how these processes should be utilized. If one always thinks of Krishna, feels how to serve him, and wills to execute the order of Krishna, it should be known that he has taken good instruction from his intelligence, which is called the mother. Although the king was refreshed, he nonetheless inquired about his wife. Thus he was consulting, thinking, and willing how he could return to his steady good consciousness. The mind may suggest that by Vishaya Bhog, or sense enjoyment, one can become happy. But when one becomes advanced in Krishna consciousness, he does not derive happiness from material activities. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita 2.59. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasa varjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. The embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, though the taste for sense objects remains. But ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. One cannot be unattached to sense objects unless he finds better engagement in devotional service. Param drisabha nivartate. One can cease from material activities only when one actually engages in devotional service. Text 15. Natataitar hirochante griheshu griha sampada yadhi nasyad grihe mata patni vapati devata vyanghe rata iva pragya konamashita dinavat. King Purañjana said, I do not understand why my household paraphernalia does not attract me as before. I think that if there is neither a mother nor a devoted wife at home, the home is like a chariot without wheels. Where is the fool who will sit down on such an unworkable chariot? Purport. The great politician Chanakya Pandit said, Mata yasya grihe nasti bharya chapriya vadini aranyam tena gantavyam yataranyam tata griham. If a person has neither a mother nor pleasing wife at home, he should leave home and go to the forest, because for him there is no difference between the forest and home. The real mata or mother is devotional service to the Lord, and the real patni or devoted wife is a wife who helps her husband execute religious principles in devotional service. These two things are required for a happy home. Actually, a woman is supposed to be the energy of the man. Historically, in the background of every great man, there is either a mother or a wife. One's household life is very successful if he has both a good wife and mother. In such a case, everything about household affairs and all paraphernalia in the house becomes very pleasing. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had both a good mother and a pleasing wife, and he was very happy at home. Nonetheless, for the benefit of the whole human race, he took sannyas and left both his mother and wife. In other words, it is essential that one have both a good mother and wife in order to become perfectly happy at home. Otherwise, home life has no meaning. Unless one is religiously guided by intelligence and renders devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his home can never become very pleasing to a saintly person. In other words, if a man has a good mother or a good wife, there is no need of his taking sannyas. That is, unless it is absolutely necessary, as it was for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 16. Kvavartate salalana majantam vyasanarnave yamam udharate pragyam dipayanti pade pade. Kindly let me know the whereabouts of that beautiful woman who always saves me when I am drowning in the ocean of danger. By giving me good intelligence at every step, she always saves me. Purport. There is no difference between a good wife and good intelligence. One who possesses good intelligence can deliberate properly and save himself from many dangerous conditions. In material existence, there is danger at every step. In Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.58, it is said, Padam padam yadvi padam na tesham. This material world is not actually a place of residence for an intelligent person or a devotee, because here there is danger at every step. Vaikuntha is the real home for the devotee, for there is no anxiety and no danger. Good intelligence means becoming Krishna conscious. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita it is said, Krishna ye bhajye se badha chatura. Unless one is Krishna conscious, he cannot be called an intelligent person. Herein, we see that King Purañjana was searching after his good wife, who always helped him out of the dangerous situations that always occur in material existence. As already explained, a real wife is Dharma Patni. That is, a woman accepted in marriage by ritualistic ceremony is called Dharma Patni, which signifies that she is accepted in terms of religious principles. Children born of a Dharma Patni inherit the property of the father, but children born of a woman who is not properly married do not inherit the father's property. The word Dharma Patni also refers to a chaste wife. A chaste wife is one who never had any connection with men before her marriage. Once a woman is given the freedom to mingle with all kinds of men in her youth, it is very difficult for her to keep chaste. When butter is brought into the proximity of fire, it melts. The woman is like fire, and the man is like the butter. But if one gets a chaste wife accepted through religious marriage ritual, she can be of great help when one is threatened by the many dangerous situations of life. Actually, such a wife can become the source of all good intelligence. With such a good wife, the family's engagement in the devotional service of the Lord actually makes a home a grihastha ashram, or household dedicated to spiritual cultivation. Text 17. Rama uchu naranata najanimas tvat priya yad vyavasyati bhutale niravashtare shayanam pasya satruhan. All the women address the king. O master of the citizens, we do not know why your dear wife has taken on this sort of existence. O killer of enemies, kindly look. She is lying on the ground without bedding. We cannot understand why she is acting this way. Purport. When a person is devoid of devotional service or Vishnu Bhakti, he takes to many sinful activities. King Purañjana left home, neglected his own wife, and engaged himself in killing animals. This is the position of all materialistic men. They do not care for a married chaste wife. They take the wife only as an instrument for sense enjoyment, not as a means for devotional service. To have unrestricted sex life, the karmis work very hard. They have concluded that the best course is to have sex with any woman and simply pay the price for her as though she were mercantile commodity. Thus they engage their energy in working very hard for such material acquisitions. Such materialistic people have lost their good intelligence. They must search out their intelligence within the heart. A person who does not have a chaste wife accepted by religious principles always has a bewildered intelligence. The wife of King Purañjana was lying on the ground because she was neglected by her husband. Actually, the woman must always be protected by her husband. We always speak of the goddess of fortune as being placed on the chest of Narayan. In other words, the wife must remain embraced by her husband. Thus she becomes beloved and well protected. Just as one saves his money and places it under his own personal protection, one should similarly protect his wife by his own personal supervision. Just as intelligence is always within the heart, so a beloved chaste wife should always have her place on the chest of a good husband. This is the proper relationship between husband and wife. A wife is therefore called Ardhangani, or half of the body. One cannot remain with only one leg, one hand, or only one side of the body. He must have two sides. Similarly, according to nature's way, husband and wife should live together. In the lower species of life, among birds and animals, it is seen that by nature's arrangement, the husband and wife live together. It is similarly ideal in human life for the husband and wife to live together. The home should be a place for devotional service, and the wife should be chaste and accepted by a ritualistic ceremony. In this way, one can become happy at home. And thus ends our reading for today. We will continue from text 18 on Monday. Before we finished, were there any questions or comments from the assembled devotees and the participants? Uma Devi or Manisha? Manisha, did you want to say something? Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, Srila Acharya Dev ki Jai, Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the worldwide devotees, Sama Bhaktiveda Vrinda ki Jai. Jai Navadutam ki Jai, Mayapur Dham ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki Jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ju ki Jai. Ganga Mai Yamuna Mai ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Giri Govardhan Gupta Govardhan Dham ki Jai. Sham Kund Radha Kund ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Vrinda Devi ki Jai. Jai Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Jai Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ki Jai. Jai Scientific Sankirtan Yagya ki Jai. Princeton Bhakti Vedanta Institute ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanand Hari Hari Hari. Jai Shrimati Uma Devi Dasi ki Jai. Vivo. Dhanavad pranams. Dhanavad.